making up songs on stage anyway, but that gave me a chorus. So I made up something about the moment, and it actually was one of the best things that we had on record, so we put it on the record. Then, of course, everyone's asking, especially, but then every night then, someone yells that, and that gives me an opportunity to write a song. I already have a chorus. It's there, and it's a different song every night. And I don't plan it at all, and it just, because of the way I'm so comfortable with that it's going to happen, and I just do it. Sometimes it sucks, but more times than not, it actually has a form. It's got verses. The verses build. It goes to a bridge. Sometimes there's a solo. They're usually 2.5, 3 minutes long. And it really tells me something because I sit and slave over writing a song, and all I had to do was that. All I had to do was that. Why can't I just go into a room and do that? And the answer is fear. So what this does for me is it gives me a different kind of fear, which is I might bust my butt up here making this song, but I'm not worried about the song. And for that reason, it works. And then it gives me some kind of strength and experience to go write my own songs. So I think the guy that said rock this bitch, he's really funny too. We tried to turn him up as soon as I started playing the song. He goes, louder!
Yeah, that was the song that just got me hooked on you, so I was wondering how...
But it's a different song every night. I think my sound man has a collection of 300 or 400 of them that he likes. And I'm listening to them. And my big problem is, can they be made into real songs, or are they what they were meant to be at the moment? You can get greedy and think that's a good chord progression, maybe I'll use it for a song. But then it doesn't end up being right for another song. It ends up being the moment. So I didn't make any royalties on it. It didn't get on the record. It just got, it's on a tape. Leo, my sound man's got it on his computer.
Thanks.
This is kind of slightly pertaining to what you talked about earlier as a child with your what your dad said when you were wanting to sing, but
yeah.
decided not to.
And he was real supportive in every other way. It's just that gay singing stuff wasn't.
Okay, well, this is so nowadays, you see more and more males going to like performing arts, the fine arts fields. Like, do you think like traditional gender roles are still like having an effect on that? Like, pretty much like show men, they don't sing like back in the day. Do you think that's still having an effect on those that do like have that talent better?
No, I see a real difference, and I saw a difference when we went around recording a cappella groups. As all these guys were really expressive, they weren't afraid to sing and sing with each other, and I think it's really cool. I think at least my generation and where I grew up are way too hung up.
So how would you advocate for those that do have the talents but don't have that confidence? Like, what would you say to them?
God, I don't know. I mean, confidence, for me, my trick was to set a goal or a deadline, or, for instance, I had a friend who thought he had, well, I was going to talk about my friend who thought he had a drinking problem, got the doctor to tell him he had liver failure, and then he stopped drinking. It's like that. Yeah. But psychologically, that's the same thing. Yeah, because he didn't drink too much. He just wanted to stop drinking. But he wanted someone to tell him to do it because he didn't have the whatever in him to stop himself. So he kept going to the doctor until he finally got the doctor to say, well, we've taken your bilirubin levels and you're in big trouble and you need to stop drinking. And he came back and said, man, I've got to stop drinking now. And he did. And the way it works for me in music is I'll set up a position or a thing that I actually have to do. Like I'll tell people I'm going to do this. I'm going to go play this, or I'm going to write a song that's going to come out, or something like that I've always done, and then I put myself in a position of having to do it. And it scares me, but it makes me do it. I think that's the only way, because getting at the middle of your confidence, like actually getting to the center of, I mean, I don't know how many years of therapy does it take for someone to feel okay about themselves in order to go sing. I think it's a very, very difficult thing to attack. So it's kind of like, actually, I've just tried to explain this as took 5 minutes. Nike said it best. Just do it.
Here's the deal. We're running out of time. We got to be out of here around 9. So one question each.
And I'll make it one sentence answer. Yeah, because I've been taking to it. I'll answer in 140 characters.
Yeah!
I had a serious question. This is unlimited. I'm going to be at your concert tomorrow, so I could give a shout out.
Yes.
My name's Ryan Barrett.
Ryan what?
Ryan Barrett. I'll be on some more.
Ryan Bear?
Barrett.
Barrett. Ryan Barrett. All right. I'll try to remember that, but if I don't.
I understand.
Ryan Barrett!
Alright, I just have one quick question. I'm just here because you're a badass and whatnot. I'm not actually a musician, but I was just wondering, what is your favorite swear word?
Right.
You can always whisper it to me. You're not allowed to say that.
Born again? I know, I don't know. My father dressed like a sailor when I was growing up, and that was just part of the scenery when I was growing up. I try not to do it because it makes me look like an idiot. Basically, it's because it makes me look like an idiot. I feel like when I see myself come back and I'm cussing, I feel like I look like a redneck idiot. But because I grew up with it, oh, thank you. And I'm trying to take it out of songs. But the reason it's in songs is because it's part of life and it's part of the way people express. And it makes it informal for me. So I try to cut them out, but they're still there because that's part of life. Yeah. Ryan Barrett's a good one too.
Inside on this, would you like to listen to lunch tomorrow?
Hey, after doing so many great covers of hip hop tunes and rock tunes, how did it feel like when somebody like Bette Midler wanted to cover boxing? And then also, how did it feel to be kind of on the other side of the table? And you said earlier that that song wasn't really that well received.
Right.
Was it kind of like, yeah, that song was good, I told you,
I think that anyone covering your music it's really flattering, and I always aspired to have my music be in some elevators, because when music's doing your stuff, you've made it. It's like when Ryan Barrett covers you.
You're gonna remember now. You're gonna remember.
I really like that you said bring to life some things that otherwise wouldn't have home in music.
Yeah.
We're talking about unconventional processes. What would you say, like I make a lot of electronic music and I live here in Oklahoma. What would you say is some advice for those of us who don't really just follow the standard format, make pop songs?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty broad. Obviously, you're doing what you like and where your heart's leading you.
Just an unconventional market.
I don't know about the market part of it, because I think that if you make music that you love, other people who are so inclined, who are from your planet, are going to get it. It's a matter of persistence, and hopefully someone, you have a good manager or label, or someone who understands how to reach those people. But musically, I couldn't tell you, because you can't change a note to make someone like your music who won't like it. It's just not going to happen. It's not dignified, and it's a waste of time. So if you like electronic music, I mean, one thing I think about anyone who makes a kind of music that can state what it is, I think paying attention to other kinds of music to see what you can learn. It's like there's a lot to be learned from studying composition for a pop musician. There's sequencing, augmentation, diminution of the motif, all that stuff that happens in pop music too. And if you just stay in pop music, you won't think about those things. But if you listen to Mahler, then you're going to learn those things. And if you listen to electronic music, electronica was really influential for me in my band. And it was very inspiring because they were doing anything. It was all totally off the hook. It's like, you can do that? If you can do that, you can do anything. So that inspired me to be able to do anything. I think electronic music, to me, is kind of like parts for cars or something. You know, it's like it's really important. They're building these things that anyone can use, anyone can think of doing. But the form of it I never understood. But I'm very inspired by it. I always loved Orbital and Apex Twin and Square Pusher were big favorites of mine at the time.
Hi,
Hey,
my name's Mary.
good to meet you.
I'll need a shout out. I just wanted you to know. Mary Corey! Yeah. Archie, hey, hey.
That's no Ryan here.
I have like questions back from when I was 13, but
Just one, please.
Yeah, no, definitely. I respect that. When you wrote your first song, or your first songs, when it was all new to you, when the process wasn't perfected, when it wasn't a rote thing, how did that feel? What was that like?
No, to tell you the truth, I think if you're doing it right, it feels the same then as it does when you do it 20 years later. And I think it's hard to keep that feeling because, you know, one reason I like to work with people who aren't as experienced as the kids is they think what they just did is great because they did it. And high fives all around the room. I'm like, but they're right because you're actually hearing what was in your head come out, and that's like total miracle. If you have a, you know, technique is fine, but if you have a method and that's your method, I'm not so sure. I think it ought to be kind of scary about writing a song. Shouldn't exactly know how you're going to do it, what's going to come out. What I often do is fall back on my experience in a very, very simple way, which is, and this really stupid little simple thing for me. If a song is not working for me, but it's working theoretically, I time the introduction. I know it's weird, but I see if it has. Basically, what I'm saying is that I see if the form is maybe not conventional enough. Like I've tried to be too clever with something, and then so just for the hell of it, I'll knock it back into form. Say I've got like a 45-second intro. I'll just say, what happens if I make that a 12-second intro, just like the songs in the 50s, and make the chorus hit at a minute, all that kind of stuff? Seems real kind of base, but sometimes I find that the message of the song all of a sudden comes through and it works. That's the kind of experience I kind of like to use towards writing. It's just little silly things like that. But basically, to me, you ought to not, everything you write ought to be kind of new enough to scare you in the same way as it did with you. You should know what you're doing. I think that's a mistake.
Very cool, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
That was for Ryan and Barrett.
I totally understand. As a musician who's also kind of funny, where do you find that balance? Like
The kind of part.
For me, no, like I was talking about, for me, a musician, how does one find that balance?
Well, I don't think that you'll find that balance outside yourself. In other words, if you put some humor in songs, it's just going to get criticized. That's my experience, because I think that's the way a lot of people don't want to hear humor in music for some reason. But I think the balance has to be true. That's the main thing. It's like if something is really funny to you, and if you really broke it down, it's funny for maybe some dark reasons, or there's something really real in it, or it's just comic relief because you had a bad day. There's always a flip side. There's always the other side. There is no light without dark. There is no beginning without an end. You know, but it's true that the humor should be in there. I think when it's balanced, like you said, it's a balance, but you know that it's balanced by something that's real. That's my advice. And not just to be funny, because that's not ever funny. Those Comedy Channel things where like guys stand up on stage, but it's stand-up comedy one after another, and they're telling jokes. It's not funny. Some of them are funny, but most of them aren't funny because it's not rooted in real life.
Thanks.
Yeah. But, that's good. Hey, man. Oh, you want me to sign it? Yeah. This
I really don't. God, I wish I were to you. Oh. Maybe web liberty. What's this guy's name? Let's say Brian Strokes. That's not it. Nope. But what the hell's his name? I forgot. Booker. Strokers. Wayne Booker. No. I don't know. What's he doing?
So I'll just speak for me and many of my friends here at school. Your music has enhanced many lives.
Thanks, man.
I also cut my guitar chops to Metallica, so I'm sad that I missed that tour. That would
Yeah.
to keep things short here to kind of summarize for Scott. We're all really listening. Funny or serious? Do you have a mantra, or can you leave us with anything to just take away from this experience? What do we need to do? What do we need?
I said it earlier today, but floss. If you want to keep.